To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Welcome to the Talk About the Magic podcast, where you'll find inspiration and encouragement tied together with the magic of Disney. Now, here's your host, Joseph Ballesteros.
What is going on, Magic Cheers? Welcome to another episode of Talk About the Magic. This is episode 184. I'm very excited to be talking with you today. I'm glad that you decided to download and to choose to hit play on this episode. I am still doing this live on Instagram, and so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I actually did this one on Saturday. So if you go right now to the Instagram at Talk About the Magic, you will see the story and you will see the option to see the live video, and then you could check out me recording this episode live for you. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, to everyone who is listening to the show, again, thank you. Everyone watching the Instagram live here, thank you so much as well. But it's been a pretty fun and interesting week. A lot of stuff has happened these actually past 2 weeks that kind of gave me an idea for this show, and I wasn't really sure what to talk about. So let me just give you a little insight. An inside look at what I do. What I do is I try to prepare. That's a big thing that I'm terrible at, but I've learned that's a really important step, for me at least, on achieving certain goals that I have. So when I was going to start doing the podcast in this format again, I told myself I wanted to have, 10 topics. I was going to give me 10 weeks basically of shows. And, in there I wanted to have interviews as well. And so while I'm still working on the interviews, it just has not been hidden for some reason. We keep missing scheduling. I've been reaching out to a couple different people, and we've just been kind of missing all our kind of our days, which is totally fine because that's why I had the subjects done. This subject kind of came out of the blue because it kind of was how I was feeling for the past 2 weeks about doing certain things, about a lot of different things. And so the title of today's show is I Took Too Long Planning Disney World. And that's both figuratively, that's not a word, figuratively and literally. So, I started realizing, when we kind of get this idea of something we think we want or we're excited to kind of pursue, we've gone over the squirrel syndrome, the AKA Doug, the squirrel syndrome there. We've gone over, kind of getting sidetracked and everything like that. But there's something that does hit along the way as well, and that's procrastination. That is when you just basically, you lose focus, but not in a way that distracts you and makes you feel like you're busy. You just keep putting off your goal for some reason. You just keep putting it off. And it could be a valid excuse. It could be an invalid excuse. It could be a serious issue, and maybe one that you're just making to be a serious issue. And, we for some reason, we get in this weird mindset of procrastination. And when you hear the word procrastination, you think negative thought. You think like, I don't do that. That's something I don't. But, it's funny because procrastination necessarily isn't a fun thing to admit, but it usually is a fun thing to do. Like for me, the way I procrastinate when I'm trying to go to the gym, I set a goal. I wanted to work out 6 days a week, even if it was for 20 to 30 minutes. Even if I couldn't do a full hour or anything like that, just 20, 30 minutes at least, I needed to go every day. And for me, procrastination was fantastic because what it really was, oh man, my leg feels a little tight. I think I'm going to just lie down on this couch and watch, I think I was watching, I bought the Walt Disney, Disneyland, different seasons of Disneyland, something like that, where he's going kind of through the seasons and showing all the different stuff. So that was my procrastination. I realized that an hour just went by like nothing. I missed my opportunity, even though I really didn't. I still could have gone later on in the day, but technically the time I had allotted myself to go to the gym, I lost it. And so I said, well, can't do it now. I'm going to have to do it. But it was a lot of fun to procrastinate. You know what I mean? It was fun to relax, sit on the couch, and just be like, okay, this is good for my body. And it's like, yeah, maybe to an extent, but there's a time and a place. Right now, that time I had given myself to work out, I chose to, be lazy about it missed my workout, and guess what? I actually regretted it later on. Especially when I didn't see the improvement in the scale like I wanted, and I knew that was the reason why. And so, like with this, with the title of being, I took time to planning Disney World. I went to Disney World twice when I was a kid. I went when I was around, I want to say around 11 or 12-ish, around that age. The videos are embarrassing, so that's why I say around 11 or 12-ish. And then the second time I went, I was about 15, maybe 16. And I've told the story before, but, the first time I ever went, excited as a kid can be, greatest day ever, totally awesome. I don't remember a lot. Funny enough, I remember more my experience at Universal. I remember taking a picture with Popeye, going on the Five Goes West water. It was a Five Goes West water, area. But I don't really remember a lot on Disney World, which is pretty interesting. But when I got older, I remember going to Disney World again, not being as excited because, the good thing is now she's my wife, but at the time she was my girlfriend. I was so sad and so upset because why we have to leave? We're gonna be gone for 2 weeks. I think it was because we drove up there, so that was like 2 days total, 4 days trip, just driving. And I was like, this is before we had cell phones. In that sense, like we didn't have no iPhones or nothing like that. It was a lot harder. The phones that we had were I'm totally dating myself, but you get me if you get me. Where the Nokia, where the best game was Snake. If you remember Snake, you see immediately you know what I'm talking about. But I remember I was like so upset, and so my experience with that Disney trip it was still awesome, it was still fun, but it wasn't what it could have been. I didn't recognize what was happening because of me choosing to be in a bad attitude in that sense. But fast forward 10 years, 15 years, I'm married, I have kids, and we start talking about going to Disney World. And something had happened to me along the way of becoming an adult, basically. And that was just, I hated to travel. I did not want to travel. I didn't want to drive long distances. I didn't want to fly anywhere. It was just, and I don't really know where that came from. But it was just more of why. That's like boring. And why don't I want to spend all this money to do this? And, and it was my wife who kind of started pushing me to go to Disney World. She had never been. She'd gone to Disneyland. And it was probably maybe about a year and a half, 2 years, or whatever, where it was just me fighting the idea, and coming up with excuses, like repeated excuses. Like, no, it's too expensive. We don't know how the kids are going to be when they're flying. You don't know how you'll be when you're flying. You've never been on an airplane. I've been on an airplane. It wasn't fun. And I don't know. Maybe it was a bit of fear on my end. Maybe it was a bit of the idea of just, getting out of my shell of what we did every year. Normally every year we would just kind of stay around here where we live by, maybe drive 2-3 hours out to another city or something, but nothing major. And so for me, it was an interesting thing because I don't know why, but I just kept procrastinating, kept fighting the idea of taking this trip. And 2014, we finally did it. Best thing in my life, being able to experience Disney World for the first time with my own kids, with my wife, and see so much and feel so much. And I think that's the big thing. It's not just visual. You feel it. Joy and happiness surrounding you in the parks from not just yourself and your family, but from other people. And it's genuine happiness. And it's just something that you can't explain unless you visit. And so for me, what's interesting is, I don't know why it took me so long to do the trip. I don't know why I fought it for so long. Especially now, I regret it because I realize, there was a time when it was just me and her. We could have done so much more. We could have gone to so many more places. And now, we do have kids. They cost money, guys, in case you didn't know. And we have to kind of roll back and we have to think, okay, finances, this is how we have to do it. And, if we want to do something like this, we're going to have to take this amount of time off of figuring this out. We're going to have to save this amount more money. It's a lot more, stuff that goes into planning something. And so I regret in that sense not taking these chances and not enjoying the freedom that we potentially had at that point. And that's something that I don't understand why, even when I know the reward, it still happens. Even so, like, I know that if I work out for a year, because I've done this before. I weighed 240. I went down to 176. And I did that in a year and a half. And the way I did it, and I know exactly how to do it. This is the way I did it. I would work out I didn't start out this way, but toward the end when I really was, losing a lot of weight and just like, it was like coming off like easy. Like it was a big deal of how much weight I was losing is I was going to the gym for about 2.5 hours. And what I would do is I would focus my running. I would do running treadmill. And my goal was to reach 6 miles running, like jog, like that's it. I never reached that goal. I did 6 miles, a day, but I was doing jog and walking. And then I would take a break. I would go to the sauna, let my muscles kind of relax, and then I would start doing weights. And so I lost a lot of weight that way. My eating wasn't really different, but because I was losing so much weight, I was choosing to eat better. So fast forward, 6 years later, I'm back at about 230. I don't know, 230. I think last time I checked, I'm going to be nice to me, I think it was 234. I know, and I'm trying to lose weight, and I know what I need to do. And I've already had this goal since early 2017. Like being realistic, probably 2015 or 16. But, this year I was like, I'm going to get serious. I'm going to do it. I know what needs to be done. I know how to do it because I've done it before. But it is November, and I realize how much I procrastinated and how ridiculous it is now. And I look back at it and I realize every single excuse I made to of reasoning why I could not achieve what I was trying to achieve is ridiculous. It is not true. And now it is November. I am pushing harder than ever because we are going to go on our first Disney cruise. And I would like to slim down a little bit before eating all my weight back, on the boat. And so I'm realizing, like, why did I do that? Like, that was so silly. A year goes by so fast. And so the same thing goes with, anything you're trying to put ahead of you. You have a goal, you have an idea of what you're trying to reach for. You start working toward it, and then that procrastination comes in. And like I said, it could be a good one. It could be a good style of procrastination where you feel good doing it, like sleeping in on a Saturday instead of getting up and, going toward that goal you were supposed to do. Or it could be a negative thing. Maybe something financially hits you hard and it kind of puts you on hold and you think like, maybe I can't do that anymore because something is happening here. But the point is, something happens that will take away your time, and more importantly, it will take away your time and make you feel like that time is supposed to be taken away. And that's the hard part, right? That's the hard part to get past. When you realized, oh my goodness, that time that I let slip away, that I thought I, had no choice but to let slip away, I did have a choice, I could have done this. I could have done it this way. I could have, tried going over here instead. I could have tried working a couple extra hours, or I could have done this, or I could have done that. And it's, looking back when you realize, oh my gosh, all of this time I wasted because I procrastinated, and I should have gone for it because I would have been so much closer to that goal had I not procrastinated. I regret, I realized, like, man, if I did what I said I was going to do in January, that's March, April, May, June, July, August, it's like 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. I can't count. Of working out I could have done. Like, that's easy. With even me not even changing my eating habit, but just working out the way I said, easy would have lost 40 pounds within the year. Like, easy. Right now, I would be talking to you saying, it's important to follow your goals, guys. When I started out, I was at, 237, and now I'm at 198. Just got to keep pushing forward. That would have been me right now. And unfortunately, I procrastinated. I let time slip by. And now I'm over here saying that I weigh 235, being generous. right? 235 being generous? Yeah. Which is the same amount of weight that I weighed in January when I said, God, you got to go for the goal. You got to reach out and try to achieve that goal. And excuse my language, it sucks. It sucks when you get hit and you realize I've wasted so much time doing nothing that was going to benefit me the way I was wanting it to benefit me. I wasted so much time getting farther away from my goal than getting closer. And if I would have just put a little bit of the time that I had toward what I wanted to achieve, I would have been way closer now than I am. And when you realize that, it feels like a hit in the gut. It hurts. But the good thing is that you realized it, right? The good thing is you understand this happened. You understand you made a boo-boo. You have procrastinated way too long. And now it's time to get serious. And the beauty about life, the beauty about what you want to achieve in your goal is that even when it doesn't work out the way you think the first time, you can try again. You can try a different angle. You can get up, completely say, you know what? That was a total bad idea, but I'm going to do it this way now. And just keep at it. There was never been a guarantee that what you want will be easy. And there has never been a guarantee that what you want is deserved. You know, and that's what I think is another big revelation that we have to understand. We don't deserve a lot of the things that we have. You know, I don't know why we were born in the situation we were in. I don't know why I was born in 1985. I don't know why I was born in a time when, you know, that Trump is the president. I don't know why we were born in a time when the iPhone 10 is now $1,000. Like, I can't explain that kind of stuff, but I can explain this. I have the privilege, just like you have the privilege, to have life. And just what life has proven throughout so many different people ahead of us, or I should say behind us now, which is that it will have hiccups, it will have up and downs, it will have mistakes, but there's always a chance to redeem. There's always a chance to get up and do it right. Even when you're in the wrong, there's a chance to fix it. So for me, what excites me is that you realize you're procrastinating. You realize you made this big mistake by, wasting the time that you've wasted and not reaching for the goal. But now you have the chance to do it. You have the chance to, again, set that clock back to zero, reset it like it's brand new, and get up and get going toward that goal. So for me, for these past 4 weeks, I've been going to the gym every day. I've missed 2 days here and there. And again, it's me falling off the wagon, procrastinating. I realize I make the mistake. I get back on now, though. I started to hopefully help me do better, not only swimming with the cruise in Castaway Cay, whoop, whoop, but also just so I can do better exercising, because I know obviously I'm not as young as I used to be. And if I keep running, your legs kind of start wearing out there. But swimming, I took up swim classes. Now, I don't know how to swim. I know how to not drown. There's a difference. So I know how to hold my breath. I know how to get from point A to point B underwater by holding my breath and then coming up for air. But I want to learn to swim. I want to be Michael Phelps style swimming. I'm not saying I want to be as fast as him or anything like that, but I want to be able to do 5 laps in a pool and look like I'm just gliding in the water. So I signed up for a class and I learned, and I'm learning right now. I'm in class right now learning how to swim. The instructor said, "What do you want to achieve in this class?" I said, "I want to swim the way you do." And he said, "All right, be like Mike. I got it." And that's true. That's what I want to do. So, and that's why I took that goal. I was even thinking, like, why do I need to do this? I'm not going to pay, money so I can learn. I know how to swim. You don't need to know how to swim. You just need to know how to not drown. But I told myself, no, because this is going to help me get closer to my goal of losing weight. This is going to help me get closer to my goal to also just being in better health and in better shape. And also to show my kids, like, look, daddy's old. Daddy's a grown-up and he's still learning new things. Now, my kids are better swimmers than me because we've been putting them in swim lessons since they were, 5 or something like that. So they're way better than me. But the point is, there's always time to grow. There's always time to improve. There's always time to reach for a new goal. Even if it's small, even if it's big, you can still make it. You can still do it. As long as you realize that when those times come when you start procrastinating, whether on purpose or mistake, whether out of your hands or in your hands. It is time to put that procrastination aside, say, I'm not going to let it distract me toward my goal, and then reach toward that goal again. So, today's quotes. We're still doing quotes. I mean, from the main man himself. It's not always going to be Walt Disney, but it just seems to be Walt Disney because that's what it kind of focuses on. His quote is, I first saw the site of Disneyland back in 1953. In those days, it was all flat land, no rivers, no mountains, no castles or rocket ships, just orange groves and a few acres of walnut trees. That quote is coming from the Quotable Walt Disney book. I'll have the link in the show notes. Now, the reason why I love this quote and I showed this and I put this for the show is because take an idea of think about what's happening here with Walt saying that when he first saw Disneyland, it was nothing. It was nothing of what Disneyland looks like at all. Not even a building similar to get an idea of what it's going to be. And I want you to imagine again yourself in his shoes because he was a normal person just like you and I. And think about all the opportunities and all the valid excuses he would have to procrastinate building on a site like this. Not only do you have the fact that it is at this time a not very popular area of California, at this time you have this, unbelievable vision that nobody pretty much agrees with. Everybody's kind of like, are you crazy, Walt? Like, this isn't going to happen. This Disneyland is just too much money. It'll never work. And here's the beauty of it. And there's some more quotes that I'll bring up in future episodes, but here's the beauty of it. Walt, not to say believed that, there's a chance this won't work, but he understood the concerns. He knew, it wasn't just wistful thinking where he just like, no, there's never going to be a problem. There's no issue. It's because I said it'll be. No, he had doubts in the sense that he knew that in real world you needed real money, and unfortunately his real money did not meet up the real money that was needed to build this land. But imagine had he procrastinated just a couple months, those couple days would turn to months, those months would turn to years. Everything could have been different, and for the worse. And I think that's why I respect this quote in this sense, because he saw visually what he didn't have, which was no castles, no rocket ships. He had nothing of what his vision was in front of him. But yet he also knew that his end goal was there at the finish line waiting for him if he got to work on it. So he saw this land that didn't have anything that he wanted, but it had what he needed, which was the space. It had the amount that he could, reach as far as to pay and everything like that to get started on it, and he started working on it. He did not procrastinate. When things would come up, he would push through. Again, watch. There's a lot of stuff you can find on YouTube, and I'll try to find stuff here to put on show notes as well once we get deeper in this. But there's so many videos where they talk about the building of Disneyland. Like, the workers were working through the night. They were doing shifts up to the day of opening. Like, that's how close it was. But the beauty of it is, had Walt procrastinated, it would have just been farther and farther. So you ask yourself, what's better? To very closely meet your goal date, or what would the word be? Farly? That's not a word. But very prolonged, very long away from reaching your goal because you keep pushing it off because of things and situations of happening. And all of a sudden that goal never happens. Like, the fact of the matter is, with all the problems that Disneyland had opening day, it still opened. And the beauty of it just got better and better and better and better. Had he been procrastinated for the valid reasons that he had, it wasn't like, I don't mean like just procrastinate because he just wanted to just relax. No, he had valid reasons. They had to choose between water and functioning toilets. Like, that's a legit problem to say, you know what, how about nothing? We're going to put this off till next month and then we'll get everything. Like, no, legit reasons to procrastinate. But he said, no, let's make this work. We're going to do it because we set this date and we're going to work toward it until it completes. And he did. And what do we have? We have Disneyland opening up, record number, national television, one of the best quotes or speeches ever given, with Walt saying, "To all come to this happy place, welcome." So you have that coming from him opening up, that speech that we all have read over and over. We enjoy it the way we do. And so had he procrastinated a day or months or a year, who knows what would have changed. So with that being said, like, to me, that's why I love this quote. The second quote is another proverb. Some good comes from all work. Nothing but talk leads only to being poor. Now, while that's very harsh and for a lot of circumstances, that's not necessarily the case, because a lot of what we're doing, like I said, sometimes it's small. The meaning is true. And basically what it's saying is this: you don't do no action toward your goal, you're not going to get nothing out of it. And if you're not getting anything out of it, you're left with zero, like nothing. That's like being poor. And so in that sense, it's what it's saying. Any work that you do, your reward, maybe it is money. Maybe it is losing the weight. Maybe it is getting a better job. Maybe, like, whatever that reward is, the only way to achieve it, the only way to reach it is by taking action toward it. So again, love that proverb. That's from Proverbs 14:23 and the quote from Walt Disney. So guys, I hope this episode was something that really helps you guys. I know I need help with this. Like I said, procrastination is one of the trickiest things, because sometimes it feels like you're doing it for the right reasons, but the fact of the matter is you never are, pretty much. Like, I don't know of any circumstance when procrastination has been a benefit. Now, patience is different. That's a whole different episode. Patience is completely different. I'm not referring to patience. I'm referring to procrastination. That means putting off your goal, putting off what you've set aside to accomplish because for whatever reason. But I hope it has helped you out. If it did, and if you want to share your own thoughts about it or anything like that, please feel free to message me. You can either message me here on the podcast, on the post here. You can send me an email, talkaboutthemagicpodcast.com. Or you can head over on Instagram and follow me there at Talk About the Magic and shoot me a direct message. I'd love to hear from you guys. But I hope you have a wonderful night, day, weekend whenever you're listening to this. And as always, stay magical.
This was the Talk About the Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay magical.